Hello and welcome to I Am Dharma Talk with Rabia Ilahi. Our goal is to inform and inspire you, and most of all, help you feel a little less alone. Welcome to this episode of I Am Dharma Talk with Rabia Ilahi. Today we're joined by April Roberts. April is a retirement income planner and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. She actually left her law practice to pursue her real passion of helping others protect and preserve their lifetime savings. Today, you'll not only get a window into the wealth management world and what all of that means, but April and I also talk about purpose and meaning and energy and living authentically. Welcome to Dharma Talk with Rabia Ilahi. I'm Rabia Ilahi. In Dharma Talk, we hope to inspire and inform you and enlighten you, and most of all, help you feel a little less alone. So thank you for joining us. In today's episode, we have April Roberts of Roberts Wealth Management as our guest. Hi, April.
Hey, Rabia. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You and I met several years ago on an airplane, and you were sitting next to me, and it was my first time sitting in business class. And so I was watching you to see what I'm supposed to do because I had no idea. And I don't think you knew I was watching you, or did you?
No, I didn't
Okay,
until you told me like a week ago.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, so this is what you do with this warm towel. Like, I didn't know, Anyway. Okay, so April, tell us a little bit about what you do.
So my family has a business, and what we do is wealth management. Mm-hmm. Specifically, we help people prepare for retirement and also help them get through retirement.
Okay.
And we do that financially, but really the mission statement of our company is to help people live their best life possible. Mm-hmm. And so we feel by giving them comfort and a plan in place to give them confidence with their finances, they can go out and do that, live life.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So what do you get to see in your office? Like, because I'm assuming, or correct me if I'm wrong, you're meeting people when they don't have a lot of these plans in place, and then they come to you and they start getting that in place. So what do you see in your clients as the change?
So it really depends. Sometimes people come to us when they're retiring the next week, and so we have to get them organized. Sometimes people come to us 10 years out or more, and then sometimes people are already retired, but they really want a second opinion. Because what most people don't realize is we've really been through great economic times in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so imagine if you're retired and you're not sure when the tidal wave's going out. Oh, okay. So they want to make sure that they're safe and in place. So the major difference I see is just people relax. It's pretty emotional what we do. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have tissue in every room because people talk to us about their lives, about their children, what's important to them to take care of. And so we always say we start with their values, and from that we help them set financial goals, and then we put the plan together and pick the financial tools to fill those goals so that they can go enjoy life and do what's important to them. So when you reverse the process like that, it makes people a lot more comfortable. I mean, at first in our society, we're not used to talking about ourselves and what's important to us. So, the first meeting is really just kind of opening that up so that they're comfortable sharing with us what's important. And so it's really neat to see them be kind of tight and with a wall up and then open up. And I mean, really, we become like part of their family or someone who knows them well.
I would think so, because I'm assuming people come in and at some point when they relax, they might be talking about their dreams, the ones they had, the ones they still have, or worry and fear and doubt and all of that stuff. So money is so critical to our sense of security. Correct. In a lot of ways, So the average person, do they need a wealth manager?
Yes, especially in today's world, because I mean, we live in a world where the president tweets and the market moves. I mean, we're living in a world of volatility where the entire world is affected by different things. And so people don't do this every day, and they're not used to thinking this way. And like I tell our clients is, once we have your plan in place, life changes. The most important part is to monitor your plan consistently. Because if you think about it, if a plane takes off in LA headed to New York, if it's slightly off track, well, you end up in Toronto. So if you don't consistently monitor your plan, which we can all admit that we're not very good at things like that, and that's what a good financial advisor helps you do, stay on track, then who knows where you're going to end up.
How does a financial advisor make money?
So normally, once they implement investment strategies, they get paid in a number of different ways. So it depends, and that's a great question to ask. Are you commission-based? Are you fee-based? Sometimes you can charge a fee for putting together a plan. It really depends on the situation and how they're licensed.
Okay. And do you notice a difference between your male clients and your female clients?
You know, most of our clients are couples, and I don't know that I notice a difference. I actually, when we went to the values conversation, I expected hesitancy from our male clients, but really, once you open up, they jump right in there, and they love talking about what's important to them, and it's really critical. So, you know, what's really important is to balance the conversation if you're dealing with a couple, because it always tends that one makes the most of the financial decisions, be it male or female. And statistics show in today's world, 83% of financial decisions are made by women. So it's really important to balance out, and it's not always the one talking the most in the meeting, I've learned, who makes the decisions once they go home, which is not really the point of balancing the conversation. It's really to make them both feel comfortable. Because, you know, when we're first asked questions, we never give the true answer. And it's not because we're lying to the person. We're often lying to ourselves, or we haven't thought that deeply about the answer. So the more comfortable we make it, the more it comes out. And in fact, we have a risk quiz, which is based on psychology, and I love to listen to the couple go through it together because it also helps me understand how they communicate with each other and how they make decisions in their household, which is really important because that helps us present information in a way that can empower them to make a good decision. And so, you know, often one thing I have noticed with female clients who are single is sometimes they don't prioritize the meetings, because I know, you know, we're both women and we know that we put everyone else first before ourselves, and we wear a million different hats. And so for them, finding the time to come in and do the planning, I find actually tends to be more challenging than my single male clients. I find once they come in, they make really great decisions because it's easy for them to focus on what's important to them, etc. But finding time to make is really a challenge often with our female clients.
Well,
so
that
that's
makes
the
sense.
major difference.
But your statistic actually is very interesting to me, that 83%, I think, of financial decisions are made by women.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually went to a conference on client service, like how you take care of clients in today's world. And that was the second time I'd heard that statistic. And what's interesting, if you think about going to a car dealership, you know, most of my successful female clients and my successful female friends still hate going to buy a car because the entire process is geared toward men. I mean, when I was married, I remember going to buy a car with my ex-husband, and while we were married, and the salesman kept talking to him, and my husband told him multiple times, my wife's buying the car, you need to talk to her. So I think we've come a long way from that in 2003, but it's still geared more to the male decision making. So what we did was change our entire experience to cater to the female, and the interesting thing is men love it too, because they didn't know they wanted that increased level of service. So when we cater to how women make decisions and what's important to them, relationships, talking, etc., it's interesting because you see a shift in the man as well.
So you see the shift as maybe more awareness on the man's part, or relaxation, or...
I think think more relaxation.
Okay.
I mean, most people are pretty aware that we talk to. So I think it's just a matter of getting comfortable with having this type of conversation with your financial advisor, because it's a little different than what happens in most firms. And then after that, you know, especially with married couples, the number one priority of the man is still to be a provider, even if it's a 2-income household.
Yes.
And most men understand that they're probably going first and leaving people behind. And so it's really important to them to set things up well and make sure the family's taken care of. And of course, for women, family is always a top priority, making sure everyone's taken care of. And women love the security of a paycheck. So in retirement, how do you create that check flow coming in?
Okay, and so what got you interested in going into this route? Was it because your family has the business, or?
Yeah, I like to joke that my dad tricked me into the business, but you know, you and I've had this talk a lot. I really think when you're true to yourself and following your life path, you end up where you should be. And so I think back to, you know, I was a litigator, which taught me that details are really important, and it taught me all the bad things that can go wrong when you don't plan. Then I taught English in a foreign country, which taught me listening skills. And then I came back after a life change. I was going through a divorce, and at the time I'm practicing law, and I helped my dad with his financial practice kind of as fun, because we're very close. So I would kind of help him with different things. And then he had a free trip somewhere, and he asked if I wanted to go, and I'm like, of course. And when it was Palm Beach, right? And when I got there, I actually went into the meetings with him just to humor him, and it really opened my eyes to what my dad does and the impact he makes on people. And so, you know, I jumped in business with him. I was his intern for 1.5 years, left my legal practice, and then I moved out to the Houston area to open my own office. But
from where? Where were y'all?
Biloxi, Mississippi.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're a Mississippi girl.
Yeah. And that really plays into, it's interesting. Recently, I was kind of dissecting myself for, you know, how I can better serve my clients. And one thing that's really important to me growing up in Mississippi is how you present yourself and your home. But it's not really vanity if you get into the Southern culture. It's actually wanting people to feel welcome in your home and to give them a safe place. And I didn't realize that we'd really created our practice on these same principles, and the same thing, even how our office appears, how we run our educational seminars, even how we run our meetings, that it's just very important to us that we present an arena where people can let that guard down and feel safe, so that together we can really come up with the best solutions so they can be confident and live life.
So that, because it must be in some way similar to a therapist's office, because many of us try to make our space, yes, we want it to look nice, but more than that, it should feel like a living room or a home in a sense, because the information that's shared is so intimate and no one else really knows that. And talking about money is very, very revealing of self, right? And so when you say values, you ask, what do they value? Give me some examples of what values would be.
So how I explain it, I was like, you know, I know values is a deep topic. So what I mean by that is, what makes you get out of bed every morning? What puts a smile on your face? You know, life evolves over time. So at this point in your life, what's important to you? When you're retired, or if you're retired, what do you want to spend the majority of your time doing? And so, you know, we get all kinds of answers. Obviously, family's really important to a lot of people. A lot of people value travel, which really is freedom. So we kind of get to that topic. And then, you know, faith, giving back to the community. To some people, it's very important to keep their brain active when they retire. And that's a big part of retirement planning. I mean, a lot of people's self-worth is attached to their career, their job, getting that paycheck. And when that disappears, what's your new purpose? What's going to be important to you? And so that's really value. So I try to keep that light. I mean, if you want to say shopping, that's fine. Like, if you want to talk about, you know, your your faith and that you want to move to Mongolia and work in an orphanage, that's fine too. I really don't want to define it for people because I want them to talk about what's important to them.
Okay, so let's say there's a listener or a few listeners out there that are like, okay, I'm just now getting out of college or going to work, my first job. Why do I need to worry about retirement or going to someone to help me figure out my values? My values are I want to pay off my loans. You know what I mean? Like, what are a couple of things that you would want them to know as they go through life?
Well, we Americans value freedom, and especially millennials value freedom and choice, and they actually value making a difference over getting a paycheck often. So the more financially free they are, the more open they are to make these decisions and follow their life path. So the best advice is pay yourself first. Decide how much is going towards my loans, how much is going for short-term savings, how much is going toward long-term savings. Maybe you don't call it retirement yet, but just kind of put that in your budget and have a target, have a goal. And you don't have to be stringent about it, but the sooner you save, the better. When money compounds, compounding really works in the third and fourth decade. So think about it. If you start in your 20s, you have exponential growth by the third or fourth decade just from saving a smaller amount. When you wait till later, you have to save a larger amount, and it's more constricting.
So explain compound interest to me, because that I only learned the term recently, so I'm not exactly sure what that is. Can you explain
It's the time value of money. So imagine, and we'll keep easy math, if you put away $100 and you earn 10% this year, it'd be $110. Well, next year, if you earn 10%, it's not $10 because now you have more money. It's actually $11. So over time, this compounds, and the statistics show, I mean, actually, if you do the math, in the third and fourth decade, really in the fourth decade, you have 20x'd your money. So everyone talks about 10xing in today's world. Well, this is even double that. So it's pretty powerful. So even the small amount you can save early, the better.
Oh, that's good. I wish I had known that in my teen and 20s. Okay, tell me, because we are both women. What's it like being, a managing officer in a male-dominated industry, or I'm assuming it's male-dominated. What's that like for you?
I suppose it's male-dominated, but so is the legal profession. I'm a little bit different. I don't really let that hold me back. I don't know if it's because I was so close to my father and he always empowered me, but I find it kind of funny when someone makes an assumption about me. And I remember one time when I was practicing law and I walked into a deposition and I was defending the deposition against the opposing attorney, and he was like, "Honey, can you get me some coffee?" So I went and got him coffee and gave it to him, and then when I sat down across the table from him, his jaw dropped. So I think a lot of times people are combative in these situations. I just don't tend to go that way. I don't know. I think you just have to have confidence in yourself and the value you bring to the table. And, we live in a world where emotional intelligence is increasingly important. And, that's the female side of all of us, not just women, that we need to tap into for that. So I don't know. I find it interesting and a challenge. And I find most top performing women I know who are my friends view it the same way. They don't, and not to say there aren't obstacles, but we treat it just like any other obstacle, something to overcome.
Okay, that's a good point, because I'm seeing it as just the way energy works, right? So if you are calm and not offended, it lowers the any kind of combative energy of anyone around you. Because inside, like, for example, when you walked into that deposition, he said, "Honey, get me some coffee." If you had reacted like, "Oh my God, who does he think he is? Doesn't he know who I am?" That shifts the feeling in the room.
Interesting.
And so you go in like, "Oh, okay, he wants some coffee," and then you sit down and so this is what we know about how the mind works, how the brain works, is that if you're in defense, offended, upset, angry, any of that, you have less access to rational thought, to the part of your brain that requires logical, rational thinking, the executive part of the brain. And so I bet you function better in the deposition or in any area when you are able to be calm inside.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, Rabia, because as you know, I have a TV show, I give public seminars, and I kind of joke that bombs could be going off in the back of the room when I'm talking, and I wouldn't know, because I tend to be very laser beam focused on my purpose. And when I'm giving a public seminar, it's empowering people to make a good decision. So same thing in that situation with the deposition. I mean, it was kind of like a gnat buzzing in your ear, right? You just swat it and move on, because I'm there for a purpose. So I'm focused on the job I have to do, and it just doesn't really take me off track.
It's interesting you say purpose, because one of what I think of with Dharma is purpose and meaning. Like, what are we here for? And each of us kind of has her own journey. Tell me how you think of your purpose.
I think about this a little differently than most people. I really think our purpose is to be here and be ourselves and follow our path. Because why were we created like this, all what's considered good and bad, if it wasn't to serve a purpose? So that's why really I'm driven by being authentic and helping other people to be authentic, which is what I do through my financial practice. I help them, to open up and speak honestly and go out and live their lives. And to me, that's what's really important, because who the heck knows what our purpose is being here? But just by being ourselves, we give other people permission to do the same. And it just creates this beautiful environment. I mean, people come to our financial seminars, their workshop dinners, and then they came in for the first meeting, and they said, in one evening, your team made us feel more a part of something than our advisor has done over 5 years.
Wow.
I mean, but again, it's presenting this open space where people are free to be themselves, and they see that we care.
It sounds so collaborative and very much like divine feminine energy in that sense, where it's about nurturing and collaboration, teamwork, as well as informative, meaning you're being very authentic in even the information that you give, because it's important that people know the truth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, unfortunately, we live in a world where everybody understands our two buttons of fear and greed. And so, you're bombarded with marketing. You're bombarded by politicians. You're bombarded by the media. And they're just pushing these two buttons all the time. And so I think people find it a welcome space when you're just giving them straight information and help.
Yeah.
And they could choose to take it or not.
Exactly. So how often do you give your seminars?
We do 3 to 4 a month that are open to the public. Yes. And we tend to focus that more on households that are age 50 plus, because we gear the information. But like the other day, I was asked to speak to a group of female realtors. So I just changed my presentation to cater to them. So our public seminars are kind of catered toward 50 plus, pretty close to retirement or in retirement. That's the topic. We can cater topics for other groups. And then on a quarterly basis, we have something called a fireside chat with our client base, where it's a Saturday morning, and we just kind of bring them up to speed on what's going on and changes and different things like that.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So do you think of yourself as like a girl boss, or do you ever, because we hear this so often now, be a boss, and the challenges with women being bosses and all of that.
Yeah.
How do you think of yourself?
To be honest, I don't really understand what people mean by that term. I'm a little probably too old school for that term, but I don't know. I just don't really think of things in terms of myself. I just show up and do what I need to do.
And because you have employees, you manage them.
I do. Well, I don't know if I manage. I should lead.
Okay.
A good CEO should not really manage. They should lead. So I kind of lead the management up to our team leaders. But yeah, I lead a team.
How do you define leading? What do you mean by that, as opposed to managing?
So managing is more involved in day-to-day basics, whereas leading is the vision of the company and how we should be serving our clients.
I see. So that's the big picture.
Correct.
Stuff. Oh. Now, because I also know you on a personal level, I know that traveling is close to your heart. Italy is close to your heart. Because you lived in Milan, is
True.
that right? For how long?
First time a year and a half, second time 6 months, so about 2 years total.
And do you speak Italian?
If you take me to Italy and give me some wine.
Oh, okay. Then your Italian's like fluent.
Yeah.
And there was another question. You also, I think I remember something about a walking meditation, or there was a meditation that you practice.
Yeah, it's also it's a heart-based meditation, so it's an energy practice meditation, and the walking portion is actually called the natural state of walking. So it trains you how to walk properly as our bodies are intended to walk. And what happens is when you realign your body, and it really works on the meridians in your feet, etc. You do it barefoot. It just kind of, from the ground up, corrects everything.
Oh, that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So I think you told me about it, and that may have been before. No, I would think I was new to energy.
Yeah.
At that time, and it reminds me of I think really connecting to the earth and being grounded, and that moves upward, right? So, and this is also physiologically working on alignment.
Yes.
I would think, as well as the meridians.
Yeah, I went to an intensive walking class out in California, and it was so weird. I mean, I had kind of a claw hand from, writing with my right hand for years and years, and you don't even realize it, right? And you have this kind of pain here. After 3 days of walking, my hand felt better. It was so weird. I woke up the next day and my hand was sore, like I had had a massage or worked out. And then I carry a lot of tension on the upper part of my back, and I feel that just dissipating as we're walking.
So what is that called again? And do they teach it here?
They do, natural state of walking. Actually, once a month, I have a conference room in my office in Sugarland. So once a month, we have a class on Saturdays. Well, a teacher comes. I just provide the space. And then I know they're teaching it somewhere else in town. I don't know now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating to me. And I think you've probably sensed this, that people are a bit more open to energy in a sense. Like, it's not traditional. Well, it is traditional actually,
right?
But it's not the maybe the Western way of thinking about medicine and alignment and all of that, and brings in, I don't know, mystical, spiritual, but ancient.
Yeah. But, it's also physiological, because if you think about stress and what it does to your body, it's a form of energy.
Yeah.
So, that's a negative effect of energy. So we're just focusing on positive effects of energy.
So if you had one wish for the difference you would like to make, what would that be?
Really, my driving value is to make people feel comfortable being themselves and really embracing their true nature. Because I think when you're out there walking around the world, you affect everyone. It's like a pebble in the pond. And you can't even measure the impact you're doing just by that. It actually happened a couple of weeks ago at our dinner seminar. A couple came and they had someone drive them there. They're older, and the gentleman got invited in for dinner. And after I gave my presentation, I normally leave, and he was in the hallway, and I was like, "Sir, can I help you with anything?" And he was almost in tears, and he said, "Ma'am, I don't belong here. I've never been to a place this nice. I feel guilty eating this meal and then going to buy chicken to bring home to my family. I just drove them there so I can feed my family tonight." And like, I still cry when I think about this moment. And I just said, sir, one thing I've learned is that when God or the universe gives you a gift, you should take it. Please enjoy the meal. Feel comfortable bringing half of it home to your family. You're meant to be here for a reason tonight. And he went back in, and I just had the team watch and make sure he was comfortable because I was leaving. But I don't know, that still affects me. It just hurts my heart that somebody feels that they wouldn't belong somewhere. Yeah. So for me, that's probably what's most important to me.
That's actually beautiful, and I can see that it hits you in your heart. So I just wonder where that came from in you, and how do we spread that with maybe it's a giving permission. Yeah. That we're all equal. Yeah. And we all belong.
Well, I think everyone has the same light inside of themselves. Some people are letting it shine, and other people, either through life circumstances or their own issues, have dimmed the light. So it's just focusing on, bringing the light out when you talk to people and focusing on your own light. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. Yeah. It's very hard for us to understand that. Yeah. But if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't be this person that affects the world. And that's what's really important.
That speaks to what you and I have talked about and what you said earlier about women putting everyone else first. And even though this driver, was wanting to feed his family, like he wants to take care of his family, to me, that's in the same way. Like, okay, I need to do whatever I need to do so that these people I love are taken care of, and that's not male or female.
Correct.
It just is. And to know that, we don't think twice about brushing our teeth every day.
True.
Or let me make sure I eat or drink water or something every day. And yet these other ways of taking care of yourself, enjoying a gift when it's presented. And when you're working hard to take care of yourself so that you can continue to provide whatever service it is you're providing. Right. And a funny story, you and I talked about this the other day when you got your car. And I was so excited for you. And I looked at it and I thought, there was not a bone in my body that felt jealous or envious, but like, how'd you do that? I want to do that too. And that's something that in the message I hope to continue to give is permission to be happy for others. And the better care we take of ourselves, even if it is a nice car or we're not in debt over it, but you know what I mean, the taking care of ourselves that way, the more we do that, the less there's the less envy or jealousy or wanting to pull someone else down occurs, because we're sort of meeting our needs.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because a lot of times this comes from insecurity or a place of scarcity, whereas if you go to a place of abundance, why wouldn't you be happy? Because there's enough for all of us. Why wouldn't you be happy for someone else getting something? Because you can go have something too.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's interesting is in today's world, everyone uses this term judgmental. And I don't think it's being judgmental, because as humans, we are naturally judgmental. That's how we survive in the world. Yes. Sometimes when you get a bad feeling, it's a genuine bad feeling and you need to protect yourself. Yes. So it's instinctual. On the reverse side, like you said, being envious or wanting to pull people down or hold people at your level, to me is a whole different thing. And that's what we have to correct.
Yes. Yeah. And it is scarcity and abundance, right? The two forces, fear and love. Yeah. And faith, maybe, that there is enough and we're okay where we are. Okay, April, so how can people reach you?
They can go to our website, robertswealthhouston.com. I also have a website for my TV show. I think it has some clips on there, and it's askaprilroberts.com.
Oh, okay. I need to check out your TV show.
Yes.
And you're based here in Houston or in Sugar Land is where the office is?
Actually, currently we have offices in Sugar Land and Katy. My sister has an office in Lake City. And in the next year, we should open one up in Memorial, potentially downtown.
Okay.
And then eventually we'll go to the Woodlands. But we have to make sure we're taking care of our clients along the way. So I'm very driven by growth, but I've learned that you have to plan growth out so that you keep your promises.
Yes, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you guys really learned. I learned today. This is such a great conversation that we had today. If you enjoyed it and would like to reach April, you can find her at robertswealthhouston.com, as well as askaprilroberts.com. And you can find her on social media at askaprilroberts. If you heard something today that resonated with you, please share in the comments or send us a review. If there's someone you know that could benefit or be impacted by our conversation, don't keep us a secret. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at I Am Dharma Talk. And our website is dharmawellness.org/I Am Dharma Talk. Until next time.